It is not an easy path to take. There is no paycheck ready for you. You have to stick with it. And the only motivation you're going to have to stick with it and really see if it's going to work is to be able to do it day in and day out.
Yeah, you got to try it. There's the grind. There's no salary. There's no guaranteed paycheck. But if you make it over the hump, you get successful, the rewards can be boundless.
They say that, the people who fail are people who gave up too soon.
Welcome to the show. And this is where we speak with successful entrepreneurs and founders of companies and learn exactly how they started their business. And today, I'm speaking with a very successful, young and talented entrepreneur named Amy Tan. Amy Tan, welcome to the show. How are you feeling today?
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Noel.
Good morning. What do you think of the studio?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Pretty good. Yeah. I built this in 3 days.
Well, I'm super excited to be your
Thank
first
you.
interviewee.
Yeah, thank you. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about your company, very cool company called Planet Hoppers. I like that name. It's very unique. I've never heard it before, so it's a fun name. And I'm going to ask you just to say a little bit about what is Planet Hoppers. What do you guys do?
Planet Hoppers is a company that I started in 2002. So it's been a while. It began because I had a friend come to me and ask me to help her with her travels to Japan. I had just come back from teaching English there. And when I got into planning her trip, I thought to myself, wow, I could do this for a living. And that's how Planet Hopper started. I decided I was going to do this for a living, which is plan custom trips for friends, for families, anything and everything that is fun. And now it's grown to a business where we service thousands of people going on their honeymoons, their retirements, their family trips, their holiday travels, single adventures, backpackers.
Wow, that's a lot.
Anybody and everybody who wants to explore the world.
Wow. And you did this first one for your friend, and it was easy for you? You liked it? Or was it really just something you enjoyed immediately planning?
It was a click for me to say this was my calling.
Wow. Just like that. Okay.
And it was, over the years, I've realized that it was one of the best decisions I've ever made to do this because it was a perfect blend of my profession. It was a perfect blend of my passion that had become a profession. And it brings me joy all the time to be able to help others to hear their stories and see their beautiful smiles on their travels.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty cool. So I want to kind of get into that more. I want to learn about just that time, that window where you started this business. But before we do that, I want to get more backstory on you and kind of get an understanding of your path. Okay. Everybody has a cool path, and your story is very cool and unique. And so I want to go to beginning, actually before the beginning, and just kind of start from there. And I'm just want to ask you, where were you born?
I'm born in Bangkok,
Born
Thailand.
in Bangkok, which is where we are now. And that's pretty amazing. And then how old were you when you and your family moved to America?
I was 3 years old. My brother was 2 years old. We moved to America because my father is one of six siblings.
6 siblings.
And his brothers and sisters all had moved to America. And he was the last to be, I guess, the last to join the rest of his family in California.
That's amazing. And your father and your mother both immigrated from China? Or were they born?
It's my grandparents.
Your grandparents came from China originally.
My father's parents came from China, and he grew up in Burma, now Myanmar. And my mom's parents came from China, and she grew up in Thailand.
Okay, so she grew up in Thailand, and your father grew up in Burma?
Yes.
Wow. And then where did they meet?
They met at work when my father immigrated to Thailand.
So then he came to Thailand, and they met at work, and then and then the decision to move to USA was, I guess, to follow the whole family because everybody was already there.
To follow my father's family,
Yeah, your
yes.
father's
And
family.
they thought that it was a great opportunity for my brother and I to grow up in America.
Yeah, wise decision, wouldn't you say?
I was so lucky.
Yeah, incredibly lucky. Great story. And so you guys moved to San Francisco? Is that
Yes.
right? Okay, and then that's where you grew up with your brother. And you guys went to school there. You finished school, high school, you finished over there. Now, when you were growing up, do you remember when you were a little girl, okay, what was your dream? Did you have a dream? Like, what did you want to be when you grow up? Did you have any idea like that?
Oh, I think like I feel like it's all other same as little girls,
Uh-huh.
wanting to be princesses or teachers
Okay.
or I think maybe one time a flight attendant.
Okay. Flight attendant. There's the connection right there. Okay. That's good. So you and your brother went to the same high school together?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And then you graduated. Now you went to university after that, right?
Hmm.
Where did you go after
I
that?
went to UC Davis.
UC Davis. And what did you study?
I picked physics.
Physics, of course.
That's right, because I was very strong in math and science,
Okay.
and I was inspired by my physics teacher in high school, and he just threw out physics, and I said, "Okay."
And it was easy for you, right?
It was easy in high school.
In high school. Not so easy in college. It's probably a lot different
I
there.
spent a lot of time studying in
Wow.
college, but I had the idea that I was going to be an astrophysicist. I was
Astrophysicist.
going to be a scientist and look through telescopes and discover galaxies and stars.
Wow. Wow. So that was the aspiration then. And did you apply to a lot of universities before you went to UC Davis?
I didn't.
You
I
applied to
didn't.
only one school.
I think two,
Two.
UC Davis and UC Berkeley.
Okay.
And it was because my cousin went to UC Davis.
Okay.
And I really liked her and I wanted to follow in her footsteps. And she
Okay.
told me it was a good school.
Okay. Good. Okay. Cool.
Mhm.
So you finished at UC Davis with a degree in physics. Is that right?
Well, I actually have 2 degrees
Ooh. Okay. What do we got?
because when I was an undergrad, I did internships. I did a summer at NASA headquarters.
NASA.
Yep. Another summer, I did scientific research for one of the top astrophysicists in the nation.
What?
And then after doing all that, I realized, wow, this is a small world that I'm going to be living in if I
Oh,
pursue this path.
interesting.
At that time, I realized I'm only going to know 20 people in the whole world.
Okay.
And then so on my, I think it was third or fourth year in college, I added a second major
Okay.
and did communications in human rhetoric or human resource. No, that's not true. What is it called? It ended up being communications. So it was a BA in communications and a BS in physics.
Wow. Okay. So a double major, and then
Mm.
okay. Then was it what point did you decide that you're just not going to go into that industry and then do what after graduating?
That's this is how Japan happened because my last year of college, university, I didn't know what to do at all. I was walking across the campus and there was a big sign for a career fair, and the sign said "Teach in Japan."
Cool. Okay.
I saw that sign. I said, "Yes,
That's
I'm
it.
teaching in Japan,
Teaching English.
teaching English in Japan."
Okay. So you looked into it, and then
I signed up, got accepted, and off I went to Tokyo.
Tokyo, and this was right after you graduated high school.
This
I
is
mean,
right
right after
after
graduated
university.
college.
Yes,
So then you went to Tokyo, and how long were you there for?
I was there for a little under a year, and the reason is because when I graduated university, I got accepted to 2 jobs at the same time.
Wow.
So one was teaching English in Japan, which I accepted, and a second one, which was a rotation program for marketing and sales engineering program for Intel. And so I said yes to that too. And I was so lucky that they were able to defer my start date for a year.
Wow. So you were like, okay, I want to go to Japan, but I also want to work for Intel, but I want to go to Japan first.
Right.
And they were cool with that.
Yes.
Okay. And so you're in Japan, you're teaching English,
I'm teaching English
teaching English, and just in Tokyo, or you're going around Japan, or
just in Tokyo.
how was that? Did you like it?
I loved it.
Was it amazing?
Yes.
What was the best part about it?
Well, living abroad was really fun for me. Making new friends was really fun for me. Learning a new culture.
Yeah.
I've made some of my bestest friends were from that time.
Wow.
And because I was in a private school, as a private school teacher, and the students were already adults,
Yeah.
they already had a background of English. They just needed to practice conversational English.
Okay.
I got to learn so much about Japanese people and how Japan works in their society.
Okay. And did you learn how to speak Japanese a little
Well,
bit?
it was discouraged at
Discouraged.
work because it was strictly English.
English only, don't talk
Hmm.
in okay, wow, so they really wanted to make sure you taught English to everybody there.
Yes.
Okay. So you finish a year in Japan, okay, you're there the whole time, and now the Intel is ready and waiting for you. Are
Hmm.
you excited about coming back to California or
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was my dream job.
yeah, this was your dream job
I thought
at
this was
Intel.
my dream job.
Okay. Okay.
It was a rotation program that groomed the next generation leaders.
Okay.
So it was an opportunity to see all different aspects of the company. They only accepted at the time science and engineering
That's it.
degrees, and they applied them in all their departments, from
Wow.
engineering, from science to sales, marketing,
Okay.
and leadership.
And so you came back to California, you
Mm.
started work. So describe like the first day at work at Intel. What was that like for you?
I got in so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, so
Yeah.
optimistic about me being the next CEO.
Yeah. So that was the plan. Like, I'm going to start here today, but someday I'm going to be the CEO of
Yes.
Intel or some other tech company, perhaps, or something.
Right.
Okay, that was the new dream.
That was the dream.
Okay, and
Mhm.
so
I
what?
was looking so good in business suits and carrying briefcases and uh, flying around to their different offices.
So they're flying you around all over the country, or was it
It was just mostly Intel different Intel offices
in,
to meet with different teams
different? This was all in the U.S. or was it international
in the
offices in the
U.S.
U.S.? Okay, and you worked there for how long?
Actually, almost a year.
Almost a year. You almost made it to a year. So what happened? Like why did you not stay? What describe how the experience you had there that made you decide that this is not for me.
Wow, early on, I realized it was very soul crushing.
Soul crushing.
It was.
Okay.
It was. I remember thinking to myself, Why isn't anyone helping me? Why are they all out for themselves? Are why are they throwing me to the wolves?"
Really? That's what it felt like. That's what
Mhm.
was happening.
Yes, yes,
When you say
and
throwing you to the wolves, what does that mean? What were they doing?
giving me projects without any support, without any resource, no guidance.
Wow.
And when I asked for it, I felt like they didn't care and that they really wanted to just step on me.
Step on you.
Hmm.
Wow.
And then doing marketing, it came down to deciding between which shade of blue they wanted to use in their advertising. And I would go home thinking, who cared?
Yeah.
Who cared?
Who cares about that? Not for you. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
you made a decision to leave. Did you have an idea of what was going to be next? Did you have any plan at that point? Like before you left, like until like what am I going to do now?
Well, I left because I already had this idea to start a travel business.
So that idea was already popped in your head before you left Intel.
The whole So while I was at Intel, this is when my college roommate came to me and asked me to help her
Okay.
because I had just come back from Japan.
Okay.
And when I had the idea that I was going to do the Planet Hoppers, I had a day job, 9 to 5 during the day. I went home, and 5 to midnight was this passion project.
So you're helping your friend and after work, and I imagine it's way more enjoyable than the 9 to 5.
So fun. I wanted to spend every waking moment doing Planet Hoppers.
Wow, it's like passion right there, big time.
Hmm.
That's fantastic.
And so that went on for a few months. It went on for a few months, and
So wait, so you helped your former roommate, college roommate, your friend, and then was there some other client or friend that you started helping to plan trips for right away, or?
right. So when I decided, I'm going to do this for a living, I told everybody. I told my coworkers. I told my family. I told my friends, and they all were supportive.
Wow. And what year was this? 2000,
Just like 2001,
2001. Okay, so the internet was already into play pretty good here. And so
early,
you
yes.
were instantly doing research online, imagine on your computer
Mhm.
right there, and sorting out some cool trips for your friends. And what was the feedback they were giving you? Like after you gave them an itinerary and maybe they went on their trip, What was the feedback?
Oh, they had such a great time. They were so thankful, appreciative
Yeah.
because they had the trip they wanted. I was able to find good experiences, good deals.
Wow. So yeah, so you
Mhm.
did the research. Okay. And so that was it. That was the decision. You're like, that this is what I'm gonna do for now or for going forward.
It was something that I was doing at both at the same time, and I had the wonderful opportunity to be offered a severance package
Wow.
from Intel.
Offered as far as what they were laying you off or you quit or
Well, this was 2001. Remember, so
okay,
2000 was the
dot-com
dot
bubble.
boom,
Kaboom.
and
Yep.
then 2001 was the bust.
Big time.
So uh, they were offering severance packages, and I was the first to sign
First in line. I'll take that now, thank you.
Yes.
You couldn't get there fast enough.
Hmm.
Wow. And so good severance package. You were happy with that. And you're like, I'm out of here. Wow. That
Yes, it was the seed money for
seed money. That was it.
Planet
Because
Hoppers.
that's one of my questions. Like, was there capital involved with starting this business? Like, was there?
Very little though. I had such a mobile, low overhead that I would call myself the digital nomad before that word existed.
Yeah. Like, what was the digital nomad called before digital nomad was coined?
Uh, I think it was work from home.
Work from home. Okay, so you were work from home long before digital nomads were digital nomads and work from home before the pandemic made everybody work from home.
Right.
Like, well, you were quite the pioneer there, which is pretty cool.
Right. So I was lucky because there was really no difference in office setup for me.
Yeah. So you're just at home,
Hmm.
as long as you had the internet connection, that's it, and your computer and a phone. I imagine you're on the phone a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so you get the severance package. Goodbye, Intel. Hello, Globe. I'm going to
Mhm.
set up trips and start doing it. And so was it quick to gain traction with friends and family and colleagues and whoever else? Like, how was the momentum as far as the clients coming in?
I was always busy, luckily.
Unbelievable.
I, I am so lucky
Yeah.
because I had a
Fantastic.
lot of support from friends and family. And then what really made it take off was when Yelp
Ah, Yelp.
started.
That's right. Yelp.
So one of my friends who had been a client, she said, Amy, you need to be on Yelp.
Okay.
And I said, I don't know what that is. Can you be my first reviewer?
Ah,
And because of her review, that's how it extended beyond the people, like
wow.
the 1 degree separation.
That is so cool. So boom, that
Mhm.
was like your marketing window, sort of.
And it still
And
is.
it's you're still I looked at the Yelp, 192 reviews currently, almost all 5 stars. Unbelievable. And they keep adding to it. People are just constantly reviewing. And so that was the marketing campaign, Yelp. And how much was Yelp? Free.
Free.
Yes. That's the best
Yes.
price.
Yes.
Wow. So there you are, marketing on Yelp. And so all of a sudden, what? Phone calls were coming in or emails and from random people going, hey, can you do something for us? Or
Yes. Till this day, even this morning.
this morning, another client. Okay.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. Now I want to ask a different question separate from that because this is really interesting to me. I want to ask you if you can talk about you were recruited at least once by the CIA. Is that right?
Yes, twice
Twice. So
actually.
you were recruited by the CIA twice. Okay, the government came knocking on your door. How did they first reach out to you? This is so interesting.
First time was a random phone call.
And how old were you?
I think I was in my mid-20s.
Mid-20s. So you're done with college, you're done with Intel, you're now in your business in your mid-20s, and all of a sudden a phone call comes in?
Yes.
And who was it?
A recruiter.
Saying what?
A recruiter calls and says, I'm a recruiter for the CIA.
That's just crazy. Okay.
Uh, we have picked you as a potential candidate if you would like to participate in our program.
That's nuts. Did they?
No
Okay.
reason, no explanation,
Nothing like that.
no idea how they found me, but they gave me the call.
They gave, and so then what did they say? Like, okay, would you like to come in, or what happened there at the end of the call? How did they finish that call?
They emailed me a
Email
bunch of information.
about?
this application process. This is how the employment would go. This is their pay. This is the process.
How
This
was the
is
pay?
it. At that time, it was very lucrative for a mid 20-year-old just starting a brand new
So it
business.
was appealing. They're
Yes.
really trying to work it, get you in there.
Yes. And
Okay.
then they really stressed how hard it would be as well.
In the email, that's what they explained. Like, this is a difficult job. I mean, like,
That there's many rounds of cuts.
okay,
There was a lot of homework to do.
okay,
The application process was very extensive. They
Wow.
had to do background checks.
yeah, that's great. And so, what did you think? Like, yes, no, maybe.
Maybe it was a strong maybe. I never had
Woo!
thought
So
about this opportunity
so
before ever.
you're on the fence for working for the CIA. Wow. Okay. Then what-
Well, to apply, you
apply.
mean?
Right. I guess it is probably a challenging process. So, okay, what was the decision? You're on maybe. Like, how are you making this decision? Are you talking to friends and family, getting advice, or is it just all internal?
Thinking about how my future would be
Ah,
if
okay.
I went down that path.
Interesting.
And that's what made me leave Intel too, because realizing that I was going to stick to the path that I was going down, which was the leadership path, I realized that would have been a terrible, miserable life.
Wow.
And um, and so that became a no-brainer. And then when I thought about the path of being part of the CIA, I realized, wow, that's going to be a lot of secrets, a lot of um, n- restrictions.
Yeah. Restrictions on your life. Absolutely.
So that made me decide not to pursue it.
Not to pursue it. Okay. So you passed. You let them know, sorry, thank you, but no thank you in an email, I imagine, or something.
Yes.
Okay. But then you said they reached out a second time. How soon after did they reach out again?
So this was a different team of recruiters.
At the CIA again.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How long after?
Maybe 2 years.
2 years
2 or 3
later.
years later.
Okay. So they recycled their list and said, let's look at this one again.
It was a different team because this was now being recruited from a career fair.
Career fair.
I had made friends. I was part of the National Asian American Pacific Association.
Okay.
Asian Pacific Islanders, I believe.
Islanders. Pacific
Yeah.
Islanders. Okay.
And in that role, I got to meet a lot of professionals, got to be part of a lot of career fairs, and then I made friends with a CIA recruiter there.
So you became friends with him.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And
And once again, he brought up the idea of working for the CIA.
he's like, hey, you seem like you'd be good at this. Why don't you look into it? And so where did that go?
Well, because I had already imagined myself down that path, it was
Was it-
easier to make
was
a
an
quicker decision.
easy no. Is it, thank you, but no. Wow. Okay. So 2 times. You know, I wonder about that. Like, do you ever wonder what it was that they saw in you the original time that they like, how did they even come up with, you know, you didn't know this, how they did it, but how do you think they came up with you? Or
Oh, we'll have to ask the CIA recruiters
yeah,
about that.
we'll have to reach out to them and ask.
I mean, I am flattered.
Yeah.
I can see how maybe if I were to recruit a CIA staff member,
Okay.
if I were to do that, I could see how there might be some qualities
Okay.
that they
Super
would
cool.
like
Super
because
cool.
it was having the international background,
Yeah.
varied career, varied degrees.
Very degree. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You were probably an ideal candidate. Well, not exactly because you didn't take the job. So
Mhm.
that's it. Okay, cool. All right, let's go back to Planet Hoppers because one question I have about Planet Hoppers, how did you come up with the name?
That was the hardest part about starting a business.
That was like your stumbling block,
That and the logo.
the logo. Isn't it fun trying to come up with a logo and then the name? So how did you come up with the name?
It was me, my brother, and my cousin.
Okay.
And the three of us, we just brainstormed, came up with a list of things and how the logo would look as well to go with the name.
Cool.
Our strong backup
Yeah.
was You Be Trippin'.
You be tripping. That's a cool name. That's good. So that was number 2. And then somehow Planet Hoppers was on. Who actually thought of Planet Hoppers?
I can't remember who exactly.
Yeah.
But it was my cousin who came up with the logo. And then we sent it out to everybody we knew to ask for their feedback.
That's cool. And so the feedback was probably like, yes,
A or B, you
A or B.
know?
And so did anybody go, you be tripping? Did they like that instead? Okay. So, now, do you have any idea how many clients you have?
I don't count.
If you had to guess, what number would you throw out there? Just curious.
Since the beginning of the
Well,
business.
I guess, I just imagine like now current client lists that maybe use you frequently or use you once in a while, something like that. How many clients would you say you have?
For total clients, I'm guessing
Yeah.
in the thousands.
Thousands, okay.
And then repeat clients, actually a majority of them, they might not come back every year,
Yeah.
but I'll have a majority of them say, you've already helped me last year, last month, or even 10 years ago.
And they keep coming back.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah. And so like the majority of your clients is repeat, basically.
Actually, we're still getting new clients
New
all
clients.
the time.
So you're getting new clients too. So wow. So like your business, I bet you at least 80% is repeat. Would you say it's more or less that, or?
Over the course of 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they come back. And so, but the new ones keep coming in. But a lot of it's also referrals. Yes, Yelp helps, but I guess a lot of these clients have friends that they recommend to you. Is that?
That's
how-
right.
That's
So
it?
that's where most of the business comes from, Yelp and referrals.
Wow. Okay. And so you were doing this full time since 2001. Okay. And you're doing this in San Francisco, where you live. And most of the time you're working from your home in San Francisco all those years. But you also love to travel big time. Okay. So all those years, on average, how much time during the year would you say you're away from home traveling? What percentage?
It's growing and growing.
Yeah. Okay.
These days, it's almost 20% of the year
20% of the year
that I'm traveling.
that you're traveling. Okay. So 20% of the year you're away. And while you're away, you can work anytime, anywhere, anyhow, no matter what, as long as you've got an internet connection.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
Unless you go to places like Cuba. That was a challenge a little bit.
Yes, and I'm a scuba diver, so when I'm on a liveaboard out in the middle of nowhere,
No internet. How is that? Is it a little stressful?
it's stressful.
Yeah. Clients are reaching out and you're not replying and you're like, okay, yeah, that's pretty challenging. So typically, about 5 years ago, okay, you moved from San Francisco, okay, back to the roots, back to the homeland, sort of, to Thailand. Okay, now you live in Thailand. What was the impetus to leave California and move to Thailand?
Well, because I still have family in Thailand, I came back often with my parents.
Yeah.
And over the years, I realized how amazing Bangkok is developing, how amazing Thailand is developing. It's
Yeah.
becoming world class.
Yeah.
And I had the idea that I was going to live here
That
in
was
the
kind
future.
of like you knew that was down the road sooner or later.
That's right.
Yeah. And then at what point you're like, this is it. Now is the time. Let's do this. Like, what was that? What was that moment for you?
I was ready for a change.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're like, I'm ready. That's it. And for you, you have a passport in Thailand and a U.S. passport. So it's easy. You can live anywhere in America. You can live anywhere in Thailand.
Oh, I'm so blessed.
Yeah. Incredibly lucky. And your brother, same situation.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. And your mom also has 2 passports?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And she lives here
Mhm.
full time. And how long has she been living here now?
She's been on and off here for decades.
Okay. And now she's full time. She's
Now
not
full
going.
time as well.
Yeah, full time as well. Okay. And so you do a lot of traveling. I've been on a bunch of trips with you.
Mhm.
Fantastic trips, amazing trips.
Thanks.
Some of the most fun trips I've ever been on. I've been with you to, where have I been with you? Cuba,
Mhm.
Iceland, Maldives, Dubai, Bhutan. And so
Philippines as
Philippines, yes, Philippines.
well. Mhm.
And so what's really cool about what you do is because your business is travel, you need to be out there and experiencing different parts of the world that you've never been to. Because if you have clients that ask you about that, you want to be able to answer questions or be able to share experiences. Is that kind of right?
That definitely helps.
Yeah.
Once again, it is a personal passion of
That's it.
mine.
Yeah.
So I have just this innate desire to travel.
Yeah. You said it. It's in your bones.
Yes.
Yes. You love it.
Yes.
Yes. I know the feeling because I've been extremely passionate about it as well. And so going on these trips with you are fantastic. You plan the itinerary completely from beginning to end, put together an amazing trip, and then you send out a notice to your friends and say, this is where I'm going. These are the dates. This is how much it is. Join me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you let in about 10 friends, maybe at the most, 8 to 10 or 12, and then we all go and we meet you. And this is the best part. This is what I love about going on a trip with you is all you do is show up. Because it's all done. It's all planned. I don't have to think about anything. I just arrive and then it's just the whole 10 days is sorted.
That is my key selling point for my clients.
Yes.
They
It's-
come to me thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to make this happen?
Yeah.
And I just tell them, I'll make it easy.
Easy. Easy. I'm going to make your dream vacation and it's going to be amazing. And that's exactly what happens. So how many countries have you now been to? This is crazy.
Well, by the end of this month, I will have reached 100 countries.
100 countries. So this month is coming up. What's the country you're going to that you haven't been to yet?
Ireland.
Ireland. Wow. So you haven't been to Ireland. Okay. That's going to be cool. So that's coming up. So number 100 is coming up. Okay. So do you have like your top 2 favorite countries you've ever been to? Like what are your top 2? Do you have that?
Oh, it's so hard to say, but I can say there are countries that I love going back to.
Okay. Example.
Of course, Thailand,
Yep.
Japan,
Japan.
Italy.
Italy. Wow. Okay. Least favorite that you're like, I am definitely not coming back here again.
There are a few of those too.
Yep. Always are. So which ones would you not recommend?
I don't want to make these countries feel
Oh,
bad.
you don't want to point them out. Okay. Okay. So
But it's always personal, right?
yeah, it's subjective. So, some people might love that country.
That's right.
Okay. So you wouldn't know. Okay. So, one of the questions I have for you is technology has been constantly evolving. So you started this in 2001, 23 years in business. Can you imagine that? That's
So yes, you're right. The business started 2001, but it was officially licensed in 2002.
2002. Okay, so you've been in business 21, 22, 23 years, something like that. And this whole period, technology is constantly evolving. Okay. And so did you find yourself constantly evolving with technology and kind of learning new technology and adjusting your business and improving it, I imagine, over the years because of technology?
I'm so grateful for the technology that is out there these days and
Yeah.
how it's helping me do my job so much better, easier,
Yeah.
faster
Yeah. Okay.
for clients.
So it's definitely helped. So I'm curious about AI because this is what everybody's talking about. Where does that come into play for you in Planet Hoppers?
I'm loving AI.
You're good friends with ChatGPT, or what are you doing? How are you using it? Is it something you can share? Just really curious about that.
Well, something that I'm doing with AI these days is creating sample itineraries, sample video itineraries
Okay.
for our clients.
Oh.
So when they say, I want to go to this place I've never been to before, and I don't really know what you can do there, and I don't know what it'll be like, but I just want to go. I have AI create a sample video itinerary, videography.
That's
itinerary.
crazy. And how helpful has that become? Is it
Right now, the quality is not great.
okay? It's still early technology. So
Yes. So I send it with a disclaimer that, this is not the greatest.
Yeah.
But here's an idea.
okay, and then they get the video and they're like, okay, does that help? It kind of helps them like decide, or
They think, oh, that's fun.
that's cool. Wow. Okay. So, you're when you're at university, you're studying physics, and then you worked at Intel. Like at any time, did you imagine that you were going to be an entrepreneur for the rest of your life potentially?
No,
No.
not at all.
Not at all.
Mm-mm,
Wasn't like the part of any plan.
not at all.
Yeah. See, isn't that amazing? Like you just don't know. Anything's possible, and that to me is so cool. Like you're an entrepreneur and you've been one for over 20 years. And it's crazy. You don't have an official office, do you?
We have a business address.
Business address, but an office where you actually have to have a storefront or rent where people can come in. You don't need that.
I don't need that.
You don't need that. Marketing. You don't need to spend money on marketing. It's covered, which is amazing. Like businesses have to spend money on marketing. Businesses
Mhm.
have to spend money on rent. You get to just don't need that. And then you can keep going. And then you can work from wherever you want in the world. That's
Mhm.
amazing. And so, what, so, for somebody who's listening to this who may or may not be an entrepreneur, wants to be an entrepreneur or something like that, like what advice would you give to a young aspiring entrepreneur that wants to work for themselves, that wants to kind of experience that and have that sort of freedom, but also financial freedom? That's amazing. Like what advice would you give?
Well, I know there's so many different types of entrepreneurs, and you're gonna be lucky enough to speak to so many of them with a different beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I will give the advice that I was given when I first started my company.
Okay.
When I decided I was gonna start my own company, I went to 3 business owners that I knew at the time,
Mm,
and they were all family.
okay.
And, my uncle says, "You have to do something that you love so much that even if you're sick, you're willing to do it."
Wow.
Another piece of advice he says is, be able to know what's around the corner.
Mm, that's good advice too.
And so those really lasted until to these days because it is not an easy path to take. There is no paycheck ready for you.
Nope.
You have to stick with it.
Yep.
And the only motivation you're going to have to stick with it and really see if it's going to work is to be able to do it day in and day out.
Yeah. You got to try it. There's the grind.
Hmm.
There's no salary. There's no guaranteed paycheck. But if you make it over the hump, you get successful, the rewards can be boundless.
They say that, the people who fail are people who gave up too soon.
That's interesting. Yeah. So
Mm.
if they stuck it a little bit longer, you don't know what kind of success you would have had. So the other advice is don't give up as long as possible.
As long as possible.
As long as
I know it's
possible.
not always reasonable for many people.
Yeah, I know. It is a challenge. And your business, what do you love the most about your business?
I get to love well, what I love is that I get to do what I love.
That's it. It's amazing.
Um, I I realize that why I'm so good at what I do is because I care.
Yes, you really do.
And because I care for them to have the most brilliant experience ever, that I do invest the extra time, um, you know, the extra effort
Yeah. Yeah.
to put in a really, really, really thoughtful, easy, creative experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the key ingredients.
Yeah. That's it. You care incredibly, and I've experienced that on the trips. It's just every detail is there, planned out, thought out, and I can tell you've been working on it. It's very creative. So I totally understand that. That's fantastic. What's your least favorite thing about the business?
Well, anytime anyone is unhappy,
Mm,
it makes me unhappy
yeah.
because their joy is my joy
Yeah.
and their unhappiness is my unhappiness.
Yeah. And then the opposite is true of when they're happy. It's just like it's fulfilling, isn't it? It
Yes.
feels like they come back and they're just like, what kind of comments they give you after a client uses you for the first time? What do they say when they're like done with their trip typically?
Um, some of the most memorable things I've had uh, were a client who is, I actually don't know anything about my clients' backgrounds or professions.
Okay.
So when they reveal things to me, like in this quote where he's like, well, you might have known that I am an angel investor and I get pitched travel opportunities, travel businesses all the time.
Wow.
And I always reply, no, I've got my gal.
Phew. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's so flattering.
Okay, that's just incredible. So these clients, most of them are high net worth clients, of course, and they're mostly from Silicon Valley. And that's kind of where you're from. So, I mean, that's a huge compliment. Like he
It
probably gets
is.
boundlessly pitched and he's like, nope, I got my gal.
Right.
Incredible.
I've had somebody else send me an email recently,
Yeah.
and he said, "Amy, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I had this crazy dream last night. I dreamt that you were retiring, and I had a nightmare."
Horror. Scary. Yes, I could totally see that. Like, please, Amy, don't stop doing what you're doing. That is a nightmare. I can totally get. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so just a couple more questions, and then that's about it. So, like, what for your business? What would you say are the three? What are the three things that you need to be really good at to be good at your business?
Well, care.
Yes.
That's definitely it.
Number one,
Number
care.
one, number one. Number two is, well, I also believe that you have to be your own best client.
Right.
And what that means is that I can put myself in the shoes of my clients. I know what they need, and I know how to service it.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
So the care, the competence.
Care and competence. Competence is absolutely critical
Mhm.
in anything. Doesn't matter what. So that's critical. And you're highly competent.
And then it comes down to the details.
Details.
It's
Yes.
so easy to misspell a name. It's so easy to get a date wrong. Those tiny, tiny details is something you have to be laser focused on.
Yes. Okay. Wow. Care, details, and
Being your own best client.
being your own best client. So just being able to put yourself in their shoes, but also you're a client of yourself. And then, of course, I'm your friend and I get to go on some trips. And so I feel like I'm a client, but I'm not. I'm just a friend going on an amazing trip.
Travel buddy.
Travel buddy. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Um, that's been an amazing story. What a journey. It was, there's a lot of things I've been curious. I've known you for about 10 years. And so I learned a lot just today about you and about your company. Super interesting. One last thing, if just a question I'm going to ask, it's a finished sentence game. Okay. The question is, you're going to say this, if you really knew me, you would know that. Finish the sentence.
Oh, I'm a fun loving person that I live for fun.
Yeah, live for fun. You're right. You laugh and you're fun and you're a very happy person. It's great. Okay, that was fantastic. Thank you, Amy Tan from Planet Hoppers.
Thanks, Noel.
And I enjoyed this thoroughly. I hope you did.
Absolutely.
And yeah, well, enjoy the rest of the day and talk to that client that reached out to you this morning. New one. Congratulations. You have a new customer. And
Yes.
it's amazing.
I'll see you
And
soon.
thanks a lot.